Whenever I ask people if there's something they want to learn how to cook but they think it's too hard, I hear the same answer over and over. Risotto. I can hear the refrains now from home cooks everywhere regarding attempting risotto. What about all that stirring? And when do you know it's even done? And what's with the special rice? And what do I even cook it in? Relax, friends. If you've ever made a box of rice-a-roni, you can make risotto. And even if you haven't made that boxed rice pilaf, you've got this. After watching this video, you will have all the knowledge needed to make restaurant-worthy risotto. So let's get cooking. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook. And yes, friends, we are doing it. This is the risotto episode, the one that so many of you have been requesting. Now, if you've never made risotto before, and even if you have, well, you are going to be a risotto superstar after watching this episode. You've got this, I promise. Now, before we get cooking, let's start with the basics. If you've ever wondered what risotto is, well, it's a famous Italian rice dish known for its creamy, unctuous consistency. It's absolutely delicious. Standard rice dishes, whether it's plain white rice or the Chinese fried rice we made recently, result in rice grains that can be separated and whose cooking liquid has, for the most part, been steamed away. Risotto, however, sees its grains become more cohesive and, when mixed with a large amount of liquid, turn into a creamy, almost sauce-like consistency. That's because the risotto rice grains ultimately swell up, and their starch, mixed with the liquid and aggravated by all that stirring, turns into a delectable sauce that binds it all together. Risotto doesn't taste like other rice because it's not cooked like other rice. This one breaks the rules. For example, risotto uses twice the amount of cooking liquid as other rice dishes, and unlike other rice dishes in which you put a lid on and don't stir it when it's cooking, well, with risotto you do the exact opposite. But by breaking those rules, you get a delectable recipe that can be a side dish or a main entree. Risotto can be bolstered by a number of ingredients, everything from mushrooms and peas to even topped with scallops. Heck, for something extraordinary, you can use saffron for risotto Milanese, an absolutely intoxicating version of risotto. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. If you've never made risotto before, we're going to start with my 5 keys for success. It's going to set you up. And the first thing is buying the right rice. For risotto, you're going to want this stuff. This is called arborio rice, and it's commonly found here in the US. It's usually located with the other rices, and it is a shorter grain, and this stuff is, well, absolutely crucial to making a great risotto. You can try using other grains, but honestly, it just doesn't work as well as this stuff. If you want risotto rice, at least here in the US, go for arborio. There are some other types that will work well if you're in other countries, but just look for this stuff and you'll be golden. The second step for success in making risotto is don't rinse the rice. So unlike other rice dishes where you might rinse it beforehand to get rid of the excess starch, you want to do the exact opposite with risotto. See, you want that starch on the rice. That's what helps it get that creamy consistency. The third tip for success is getting the right pot, and here again we have our old friend the saucier. I recently made a video on these pots versus saucepans, and yes, a saucepan will work, but a saucier is like the perfect vessel for making risotto because it has these curved sides and all that stirring, well, it's a piece of cake with one of these because there's no sticking at the bottom. By the way, I found this one at the thrift shop just this week. I think it was like $10. It's this beautiful Calphalon stainless steel saucier. wonderful pan. But don't worry, if you don't have one of these, you can use just a regular saucepan. Just make sure you get into all those nooks and crannies. The fourth tip for your risotto success is to use stock or broth instead of water. Remember, water brings no flavor to the table, but stock or broth does. Traditionally, risotto is made with a chicken stock, but you can also use a vegetable stock like I'm using here. And finally, the fifth tip is to make sure the stock is hot for cooking the risotto. So you're going to want another pot to put that in, get it up to a simmer, and it'll be nice and hot when you add it to the rice to make risotto. For your risotto equipment, again, you'll want a saucepan to make it in. This is going to be a 3-quart saucepan that's going to work best for this recipe. You're going to want another pot for your stock. This is about 2 quarts. You're also going to want a wooden spoon, a ladle, and this is important, a stopwatch or a timer. And as for the ingredients, of course, we have the risotto rice, we have some stock, you'll want some extra virgin olive oil and or butter, half of an onion, some peas, and some good Parmesan or Romano cheese. This stuff is a little more expensive, but boy, is it absolutely delicious, and it pays off for this dish. You can also use a little bit of wine if you like, in addition to the stock, and garnish with some parsley. That's all you need. This is going to be restaurant-worthy risotto. So here's how to make it. After gathering your ingredients, the first thing you'll want to do is heat your stock. This recipe calls for 32 ounces of stock or broth, and conveniently, that's what this box holds. So heat the stock to a simmer. Heat your saucepan or saucier over about medium-low heat, then add some olive oil. I like to use about a tablespoon or 2 of extra virgin olive oil, along with a pat of butter. Heat until the butter just starts to sizzle. You don't want this too hot. Add half of a diced onion to the pan and make sure everything is coated in the oil and or butter. Cooking is all about timing, so grab your stopwatch or set a timer for 2 minutes. We're going to gently cook the onions just until they begin to turn translucent. You don't want to turn them brown. Now add the rice. We're going to do the same thing, cooking and coating this rice, turning it over and sauteing it for about 1 minute, just until it starts to get fragrant. This is a similar method to if we were making rice pilaf. We're just going to coat those grains in the butter and the oil. Okay, now it's really on. Start your stopwatch or set a timer for 25 minutes. Begin by ladling about 1 cup of the hot stock into the risotto and stir it well. There's a misconception with risotto that you must stir it constantly. And while you need to stir it a lot, you don't need to stand over the pot for 20 minutes stirring constantly. Just stir it about every 20 or 30 seconds or so to make sure that none of the rice is sticking to the bottom. When the rice has absorbed most of the liquid, add another cup of the hot stock to the rice and just do the same thing, stirring about every 20 or 30 seconds. With this pot, I find that each batch takes about 3 minutes for the liquid to absorb into the rice. And again, this is where your stopwatch and, more importantly, your eyes are going to be vital. Repeat this process for about 15 minutes or until most of your stock has been used up. It's also around this point that I like to add the frozen peas to the hot stock so that they can thaw out and be ready to be incorporated into the risotto. From here, for the last couple additions of stock, we will add the stock along with the peas. Once again, add the liquid and stir every 20 or 30 seconds or so. See, this really isn't so hard. We're almost there. When most of the stock is used up, taste the risotto. Add salt or pepper as needed, and more liquid if you want an even creamier batch. When the risotto is to your liking, it's time for the grand finale. We are going to add about half a cup or a cup of the Parmesan or Romano cheese. I grated this block on my rotary grater, but you can also buy pre-grated good Parmesan or Romano cheese in a tub. So simply fold in the cheese and heat it until it melts. Garnish with freshly chopped Italian flat leaf parsley, and you are ready to serve your restaurant-worthy risotto, all made in less than half an hour. And here we are, friends, hot off the stove. I've topped this with some fresh Italian flat leaf parsley. You could add a little, extra salt and pepper to this, but I think this is going to be terrific as is. Risotto is unlike any other rice dish. It is creamy, yet it's still got a little bit of that al dente, to the tooth rice. It's just, it's a beautiful study of contrast. This is risotto. It is so delicious, and now you know how to make it. So there you go, friends, Risotto 101. I hope this takes the fear out of making risotto. You see how easy it is, and I know that you can do it. Now, this also refrigerates and reheats well. I wouldn't store it in the freezer. It can just get a little too kind of like gummy that way, but put any leftovers in the fridge, enjoy it the next day. And hey, if you make this recipe, let me know. I hope you do. And if you've been making risotto for years, well, let me know. What's your favorite thing to put in it? Be sure to put that in the comments below. Okay, trivia time. Last week I asked you to identify this strange device, and well, several of you had answers for it. This is apparently an ice crusher. It's made by a company called Earthenware. Again, I found this at a thrift store. You can see it comes apart here, and the idea is you put a chunk of ice in this part, and you have this thing here, and you crush it just like that. You press down on it and you get crushed ice. This is, I think, obviously made in the days before we got crushed ice from our refrigerators. Congratulations to everybody who correctly identified this as an old school vintage ice crusher. For this week's culinary trivia, we'll see if you were paying attention to last week's episode, because yeah, we've got something that made a brief appearance in that episode. What is this thing? It's this big wooden, like cone-shaped thing. If you know what this is, or if you have a guess, put it in the comments below, and I will, of course, let you know what the correct answer is in next week's episode. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, I hope you want to cook.